In a nation dominated by political dynasties, he battled the odds and rose like a phoenix from the ashes. He swung votes that none thought possible.
He is a person who can take us out of this mess that we were in.
In August 2018, Imran Khan, a charismatic sports icon turned politician, was catapulted to the nation's top seat.
He's still trying to find his way in politics.
I think there is no way for him to fail. We all wish him success because his success is our success.
But a year after Imran Khan assumed office, Pakistan is in a shambles. It faces its worst economic crisis ever.
He's working hard to take the economy out of the crisis.
He has actually proven his inability, his inefficiency, and his lack of leadership.
And the nation confronts major challenges on the foreign policy front. Its relations with India plunge to a new low, with hostilities across the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir.
Kashmir is a festering wound which has not been finally stitched and closed, and it bleeds every now and then.
Can he steer the nation out of the current turmoil?
The country certainly has given him a chance to prove himself as a politician. Unfortunately, he hasn't met the country's expectations at all.
It's a country born out of an ideology that religion frames the national consciousness. Since its inception in 1947, Pakistan has had a long, checkered history of disruption by coups, assassinations, and sectarian violence.
That politics in Pakistan is not really politics. It is not a competition between various political ideologies or political parties or political groups. It's a constant competition between civil and military power struggle that we see. And we cannot describe it as political, let alone democratic.
The 2018 parliamentary election was historic. It was only the second time in Pakistan's history that an election was held after a civilian government completed its full 5-year term.
We were directly ruled by military for over 35 years and indirectly ruled by it indirectly for the rest of the period.
In a cricket-crazy nation, the celebrated sports superstar soared to the nation's top post on a populist platform, with his impassioned calls for change and for a corruption-free society.
इस मुल्क का खून चूस रहे हैं, पैसा चोरी करके बाहर भेजते हैं, मुल्क को मखलूस कर दिया है, मुल्क को आगे नहीं बढ़ने देते, मेरे दिनों ने तबाह कर दिया, चुप करके बैठी हुई पाकिस्तान की हुकूमत अमेरिका के पैर पकड़ के बैठी हुई, बेशर्म लोग हैं।
He is vain, determined, with lot of perseverance, but not very deep. Maybe a sort of delusion of grandeur. Being a captain of a team is different than being a captain of the country. Both needs different temperament, both need different talent, capacities, both need different approaches.
He is a person who can take us out of this mess that we were in or we are still in and put us in the right direction.
Driven, bold, ambitious, inspiring, and with an ambition to succeed and change this country once and for all.
He keeps on exhibiting his immaturity and as well as lack of vision.
For a nation that's only experienced dynastic politics, August 2018 was an inflection point when Imran Khan was elected as Pakistan's Prime Minister.
It was very difficult for a third person, ordinary, I would say even a middle class. I mean, he's a celebrity, he's an idol, icon, but other than that, he doesn't come from that money class to break into the Pakistani political system. So to start with, it's a miracle that he somehow broke into the system.
I think there were certain elements from the right, religious establishment, and the military establishment who wanted to have an alternate, and they propelled him, catapulted him to the power. Definitely he has a charisma for certain sections of the society, not for the nation at all. And there are a lot of questions on the elections, but the moment he came, it was 5.6% GDP, now it is almost 3%.
In his election manifesto, Imran Khan promised to lift people out of poverty, crack down on corruption, create 10 million new jobs, build 5 million homes for the poor, and boost the economy. But a year after he assumed office, Pakistan faces its worst economic crisis ever, with dwindling foreign exchange reserves, low exports, high inflation, and a growing fiscal and current account deficit.
The biggest challenge I think we have is the economy. Pakistan has growing population. We have to address that, and that is somehow connected with our economy. So economy and population are two big challenges, and we have to address that. The excessive borrowing and excessive spending of the government has brought us in this critical stage. What we have been doing in the last 10 years is that we've been borrowing money just to circulate that money within the system so that it looks like that the economy is working. But actually it was a big fallacy, because nothing concrete was done on ground. When we took power, what we had in front of us, that whatever revenue that we generate from collection of taxes, 70% of that has to just go into debt servicing.
We shouldn't wait for the crisis to hit us in the face. And this is what the politicians and leaders are supposed to do, to think ahead, to do forward planning. So 1 year should be enough for an elected Prime Minister, for an elected government to at least set a direction of reforms.
Growth has been in a tailspin from 5.4% in 2017 to 3.9% in 2019. And it's expected to go down further to 2.4% next year, the country's lowest in 10 years. An economic climate that's putting businesses at a huge disadvantage. Atlas Marble Factory is a pioneer in Pakistan's marble and granite processing industry. They were exporting finished goods to Ireland, England, and the US prior to 2008. But due to rising costs, they stopped exporting and are now catering to local consumers. Recently, Imran Khan's government slapped a 17% sales tax on all goods, further increasing the costs of procurement.
There is an issue with this government, that like he's implementing the new 17% GST on this industry, and they are, implying it on the miners, then the processors, and then the retailers. So it's going to be multiplied by 3 by 17. So you can understand how much is the stress on this industry.
Clothing retailer Zishan Sheikh faces a similar plight, where taxes are applied at each stage of the supply chain, from production to the point of sale.
इन्होंने निटिंग पे भी लगा दिया, इन्होंने हर चीज़ पे टैक्स लगा दिया। आप 17% लेना चाहते हैं, बिल्कुल लें। आप 1% धागे पे लें, जो धागा स्पिनिंग मिलों से आ रहा है उस पे लें, फिर निटिंग पे जाएं, 3% निटिंग मिलों से लें, फिर मैन्युफैक्चरर के पास जाएं, 4% उससे लें, फिर होलसेलर के पास जाएं, 4% उससे लें, फिर रिटेलर के पास जाएं, 6%। इस तरह एक फार्मूला बना के 17% जो एंड यूज़र है उसको फर्स्ट डे से लेके एंड डे तक 17% दिया जाए।
To intensify the problem further, the Pakistani rupee has lost a fifth of its value against the US dollar since the beginning of this fiscal year, plunging to a record low of 162 against a US dollar.
You'll have to import it from somewhere around the world. तो उसमें डायमंड वायर्स हैं आपकी, डायमंड टिप्स हैं आपके, ब्लेड्स हैं आपके, एब्रेसिव्स हैं आपके, ठीक है, जो चाइना से आ रहे हैं, इटली से आ रहे हैं, जर्मनी से आ रहे हैं। तो ये चीज़ें आपके ऊपर बहुत इफ़ेक्ट करेंगी। इनकी प्राइसेस अगर बढ़ेंगी डॉलर की वजह से, तो आपके जो कमोडिटी है वो भी उसकी प्राइस भी रेज हो जाएगी।
Added to the rupee depreciation is inflation that has skyrocketed from 4.2 to 9.4% now. All this will impact sales and ultimately profit margins.
हमारे ओवरहेड्स कहाँ से कहाँ चले गए, बिजली का बिल कहाँ से कहाँ चला गया, वर्कर्स की सैलरी कहाँ से कहाँ चली गई, कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट कहाँ से कहाँ चली गई, और रिटेल वही है। तो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन जो थे ना वो तकरीबन ना होने के बराबर हो गए हैं। प्रोडक्ट सेल्स वहीं जा रही हैं, पर हमारी कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इतनी ज़्यादा होती जा रही है कि आगे जो बायर है उसकी परचेजिंग पावर नहीं है। हम रिटेल प्राइसेस अभी इस वक्त बढ़ा ही नहीं सकते, क्योंकि लोग अपनी बेसिक नीड्स को पूरा करें या लग्जरीज को पूरा करें।
If we were having a sale of around 10 million, तो अभी जो है वो हाफ भी नहीं रह गई है, it's about 40%. तो we are just 4 million. तो obviously आपको 60% का उसमें भी फ़र्क पड़ा।
Business establishments in Pakistan are feeling the pinch from increased tax rates, while the real solution, experts feel, lies in increased tax enforcement. But that's easier said than done, and Team Imran Khan faces a daunting challenge.
We have to reform our tax administration and also the system. The reforms part has always been missing.
With a population of around 208 million, Pakistan is the world's 6th most populous country. 1/3 of Pakistan's population lives under the poverty line. The tax burden in Pakistan falls overwhelmingly on the poor, who already struggle to make ends meet.
सर जी, घर के अखराजात बहुत मुश्किल से पूरे हो रहे हैं। पहले हमारा गुजारा हो जाता था, लेकिन अभी घर के हालात जो हैं वो गुजारा जो है वो बहुत मुश्किल से हो रहा है।
Muhammad is the sole breadwinner of his family of 7, his wife, mother and 4 children. Setting up his cart on this busy highway used to serve him well. His fruits sold out fast. But these days, his business is declining.
अभी तो तकरीबन ये जो महंगाई हुई है, भी तो हम ही से निकल रहे हैं। आटा है, चीनी है, गरीब बंदे की तो यही चीज़ें होती हैं, घी है, इनके ऊपर भी टैक्स ला के है, इनकी कीमतें भी बढ़ गई हैं, तो वो भी नहीं पूरा हो रहा है गरीब बंदे से।
Imran Khan's Pakistan is mired in debt and inflation. In its very first budget, the new government has prioritized boosting local industry, minimizing debt and maximizing tax collection. The country's public debt stands at a whopping 77% of GDP. In a recent report, the World Bank has downgraded the country's ranking, stating that Pakistan's public finance system has deteriorated.
There is no doubt that this is a challenging time as far as the economy is concerned in Pakistan. Economic growth has slowed, and this is the outcome of 10 years, 2008 to 2018 decade, which I just have described this as a lost decade for Pakistan.
It is actually serious. The debt burden of Pakistan is extremely serious. Just to give you broader figures, in 2008, the debt of the whole circular debt in Pakistan was around 6 trillion. And it has now risen to more than 30 trillion just in 10 years, the span of 10 years.
I wish that previous governments had taken on the steps that were required to fix Pakistan's import-export balance. I wish they had taken the steps that were required to improve Pakistan's fiscal deficit and tax to GDP ratio. We have a tax to GDP ratio of roughly between 12 and 13%. Whereas a country like India, which I think is very comparable, has a tax to GDP ratio of about 18%.
The Pakistan's biggest problem as far as the taxation was concerned, that the taxation net was never spreading. The burden on the tax, already the taxpayers always used to pile up. He is doing the same. He has increased the rate of taxation. He has not done anything new that would increase the number of taxpayers.
This fiscal year, the government intends to widen the income tax net, targeting a collection of $12 billion compared to the previous year's $10 billion. But when it comes to income tax collection, of a population of around 208 million, hardly 1.6 million people file taxes. So why doesn't Pakistan collect more revenue?
The type of people who enter into tax service, they are not the right type of people entering into this department, because they come from civil service. So how can a medical doctor or aircraft engineer know about tax elasticity, tax buoyancy, or tax policies? So we have to reform our tax administration and also the system. The reforms part has always been missing.
That requires taking tough decisions that are going to polarize the country. That requires setting the country on the right path. It requires 2 or 3 years of pain.
Faced with a fiscal shortfall of about $18 billion, Pakistan recently secured a $6 billion IMF bailout. This is the 22nd time since 1958 that the country has gone knocking on the doors of the IMF. Following closely on the heels of negotiations with the IMF, Imran Khan reshuffled the cabinet and replaced Finance Minister Usad Umar with Abdul Hafiz Sheikh. He served as Finance Minister under the previous government run by the Pakistan People's Party.
ना अमेरिका ना IMF किसी से भिखारियों की तरह कर्जे नहीं लेने, एड नहीं लेनी। इमरान खान मर जाएगा लेकिन कभी भीख नहीं मांगेगा। ये चुप करके बैठी हुई पाकिस्तान की हुकूमत अमेरिका के पैर पकड़ के बैठी हुई, बेशर्म लोग हैं।
I think that if, see, this is nothing bad about going to IMF or another financial institution for loans. Countries do it. Pakistan has done it many times. The timings was wrong. He couldn't make up his mind. He should have gone to IMF when he came to power.
IMF loans usually come with stringent conditions and unrealistic deadlines that experts argue are excessive and harmful to the poor. The government has to hike tax rates and phase out fuel subsidies, putting more burdens on a struggling population.
I don't think so. The IMF package is really going to impact on the structural changes in the Pakistan's economy. It's a firefighting thing to take care of their immediate adverse foreign exchange reserves. The IMF bailout package of 6 billion, of this 4.35 billion is going to be for repaying the previous IMF loan. Pakistan in effect will get a net 1.65 billion. And that too will be taken up in repaying the World Bank, the ADB, the Islamic Development Bank, and so on. What the IMF has done is to lay down conditions for increasing revenue generation to 5.5 trillion rupees. I don't see how Pakistan is going to be able to generate that many taxes.
The IMF has given an absolutely unrealistic target to be collected, and it will not be collected. No country can increase taxes by 46%. So giving unrealistic target is not a tax reforms.
It was unavoidable to actually embark upon this reform journey with the support of the IMF. I believe it will unlock up to $38 billion of the right sort of lending by the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank and other lenders, which when plowed into the economy, to develop the economy. I think the one question to ask anyone who for political expediency have opposed this sort of program is, please explain what you would have done instead.
Adding to the economic woes of Pakistan, the Financial Action Task Force, an international watchdog, has placed Pakistan on its grey list for not addressing money laundering and financing of terrorism.
Today, we have taken several measures to improve this anti-money laundering system, but still the do more process continues, and we believe that there is more politics behind this rather than, in a true sense, anti-money laundering or something like that. Because it appears also that in FATF there is no other agenda but to Pakistan bashing. So no amount of our effort will convince all the members of the FATF that yes, Pakistan has done very well.
You see, the last review that was carried out in May 2019 clearly showed that Pakistan had not complied with 18 out of 27 action plan points. And the FATF warned Pakistan that if you don't do this by September, when the program closes and they will be reviewed in October, then we will take whatever action is necessary. So I don't see them getting off the grey list. They should be considered themselves extremely lucky if for political reasons they are not put on the blacklist in October.
Revenue generation is important to boost the economy. But Team Imran Khan has come under severe criticism for how they intend to accomplish it. Industries and businesses across Pakistan, be it big, medium or small, are already feeling the burden of a lack of subsidies, increased taxes and experiencing financial hardships. An indoor amusement facility like Fun City has stalled its expansion plans because of the economic crisis. A high dollar rate has hampered imports of new rides. The reduced purchasing power of people has led to weak consumer footfall and thus less profits for the company.
सबसे ज़रूरी बात है सब्सिडी ना दें लेकिन हमारे लिए कुछ जितना रिलीफ दें इंसेंटिव्स दें हमारी इंपोर्ट जो ड्यूटीज़ आती हैं चीज़ें राइड्स आती हैं जो बाहर से उस पर हमें इतना इंसेंटिव दें कि हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर ओवरहेड कम हो और हम क्वालिटी एंटरटेनमेंट जो कि हम दे रहे हैं.
And for a small-scale businessman like Sohaib, who voted for change a year ago, hope has turned into despair.
मैं खान साहब से एक्सेप्ट मैं बहुत ज़्यादा कर रहा था कि यार करेंगे, लेकिन खान साहब ने मुझे एक साल के अंदर बहुत मायूस किया. लेकिन खान साहब बार बार अपने हर इंटरव्यू में हर एक वो उसमें कह रहे हैं कि मैं जो जैसे पीछे पहले का पाकिस्तान मिला है हम उसको बनाने में हमें मज़ीद टाइम चाहिए. तो मैं इसलिए खान साहब को टाइम दे रहा हूँ कि यार इसमें, लेकिन बहुत ज़्यादा उन्होंने हर एक, ख़ासकर हमारा मोबाइल्स का काम है उसमें एक आंखें बंद करके एक उन्होंने टैक्स लगा दिया. उनको खुद नहीं पता, उनको पीटीए जाएं उनको नहीं पता होता कोई सिस्टम के तहत नहीं. अभी तक खान साहब ने बस एक टैक्स का नाम सुना हुआ है कि टैक्स लगाना है.
Imran Khan has an enormous task ahead. To steer Pakistan's struggling economy out of a macroeconomic crisis. He has resolutely campaigned against corruption in politics and looks to alter the nation's foreign policy direction. But the big question remains. Can Imran Khan survive without the backing of the formidable military establishment that wields an enormous influence in Pakistan.
You cannot actually be part of the game without support of the powerful military establishment. That is where things get controversial, and this is what exactly has happened to Imran Khan.
In August 2018, Imran Khan came to power on a platform for change. During his election campaign, he'd promised to clean up graft and money laundering that had long tainted the ruling elite.
आपको कहेंगे अपनी जेब से वापस करें मेरे साथ दो दफा
It is used as a slogan and instrument, and that too the politicians of only a position. So in Pakistan there is a lot of misgivings, lot of criticism that this drive is unilateral, it's focused against the opposition.
In June 2018, even before Imran Khan assumed office, the National Accountability Bureau of Pakistan indicted former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif on corruption claims. Khan was his major accuser. The Bureau prosecuted Sharif after a series of Supreme Court hearings over allegations of his family's ownership of expensive London property.
The problem begins when the accountability is one-sided. And right now, if you look at it, about 80–90% of Imran Khan's cabinet, Imran Khan's people, they come from other people, other parties. They have joined Imran Khan just to safeguard themselves from accountability bureaus. They have scandals against them. They have their career are tainted with corruption.
It's a very easy allegation. In our political system, it was a musical chair, one party after the other. And 10 years ago, these both parties basically had a pact that if whoever comes into power, we will not touch corruption. So both parties were at liberty to commit whatever they wanted to do.
In June 2019, former President Asif Ali Zardari from the Pakistan People's Party and a nephew of former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif from the Pakistan Muslim League were arrested on corruption claims. With these, Imran Khan signaled that he was starting to fulfill his pledge. Zardari has been accused and jailed repeatedly, though never convicted, in multiple corruption and kickback cases since the 1990s. He has now been charged with maintaining fake bank accounts abroad.
हमारा मुतालबा जो है लॉ पे है, मुतालबा उन पे है कि वो अपने ऑफिस को गलत इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, पॉलिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं पॉलिटिशियंस के खिलाफ, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट के खिलाफ.
If you compare this in last 10 years to this 1 year, I think we have made a lot of headway. But this is a process which requires continuity and capacitating the law enforcement. So when we are addressing the corruption issues, they actually have to see that how this debt was accumulated and how it was spent, and was it actually spent or not, and how much it just went for corruption. So this is something that we are doing.
Yet another campaign promise made by Imran Khan was to run a civilian government and avoid the military's encroachment into civilian politics. But critics maintain that the military is continuing to exert its influence in the way the government runs. Can Khan function without a strong military backing? Is the military's support an asset or an obstacle?
I think the military gave him the government, so he has to function under their rule. Simple as that. The people has never given him this mandate. He's happy enough to be in the Prime Minister's chair. That's about it.
it is best when the military and the civilian hierarchs work together. For Imran Khan, it is better to have the support of the military than not to have it. And if he can find his way around governing Pakistan with military support, at the same time maintaining some of the requisites of democratic governance, that would be the best answer.
In a democracy, the military is subservient to the executive, to the civilian government. There is, I mean, you won't hear people in the UK or in India or in America saying that we are on the same page. But in Pakistan, they do. So he is, well, puppet is probably a very strong word, but he is certainly beholden to the army, and in areas where the army consider its preserve, like security issues, foreign policy, defense issues, the army is clearly in the driving seat.
In June this year, Pakistan's powerful army chief, General Qamar Javed Bajwa, blamed fiscal mismanagement for the country's economic woes. He has been appointed to a newly formed committee responsible for steering the economy. It's unusual for an army chief to comment on how the economy is run by a civilian government. A comment that came just days before an IMF bailout of $6 billion.
He is creating more space for the military, powerful military establishment. We have seen the inclusion of the army chief into so-called National Economic Development Council, and then we have seen inclusion of the military and intelligence officers in other commissions, probe commissions that have been constituted. And we are seeing an increasing dependence of Imran Khan's government on the military and other intelligence agencies on various issues.
It almost has become a civilian dictatorship, with military calling all the shots and he being a puppet government. And I hope that this changes and democracy flourishes in Pakistan.
It will be difficult for Imran Khan to think of suddenly becoming an independent-minded politician and a powerful civilian symbol of civilian power, because he knows on what conditions he has been brought in, and he knows his limits. And therefore, I doubt that if he will ever think of questioning the power of the military establishment or taking an independent approach towards the political process or even economy in Pakistan.
Imran Khan assumed office at a time when Pakistan had been confronting challenges on the foreign policy front. Today, Pakistan's relations with the United States continue to ebb and flow because of the insecurity in Afghanistan, where peace remains elusive. After spending billions of dollars, the US wants an end to the Afghan war, with all its troops out by 2020. And Pakistan has a pivotal role in bringing the Taliban to the negotiating table.
He's now engaging the United States. His visit there in July was to provide some reconciliation with the Americans, and Pakistani help in stabilizing Afghanistan seems one more time possible. And then with India and the rest of the South Asian countries, things have not improved very much.
Pakistan's relations with India are fractured and took a nosedive in February this year, with hostilities across the international border and the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir.
The skirmishes on the line of control post-Pulwama were a continuation of action and reaction, and that was taking place for a long time. Kashmir is a festering wound which has not been finally stitched and closed, and it bleeds every now and then.
Pakistan and India are at loggerheads again, and Kashmir remains a sore point. The restive region was in a lockdown after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government wiped out the Indian-administered Kashmir's autonomy by revoking Article 370 that grants special status to the troubled region. The article dates back to the 1947 partition of the Indian subcontinent, when the princely state of Kashmir acceded to India. Imran Khan has warned that Pakistan will go to any extent to protect Kashmiris.
इन्होंने फिर आज़ाद कश्मीर में कुछ करना है, रद्द अमल आएगा अगर इनके ऑपरेशन की वजह से कुछ हुआ, इंसिडेंट हुआ पुलवामा टाइप, इन्होंने एक्शन लेना है, हम उसको जवाब देंगे। ये हो नहीं सकता कि ये अगर पाकिस्तान में अटैक करेंगे हम उसका जवाब ना दें, हम जवाब देंगे।
The simmering tensions between the two nations reached a breaking point earlier this year.
हमारे पड़ोसी उसके इस मंसूबे का देश के 130 करोड़ लोग मिलकर के जवाब देंगे, मुंह तोड़ जवाब देंगे।
On February 14th, 2019, nearly 6 months after Imran Khan assumed office, a horrific incident rocked Pulwama on the heavily guarded Jammu-Srinagar highway, when a 22-year-old Kashmiri militant drove a van packed with explosives into a convoy of vehicles, killing 40 Indian paramilitary police. A Pakistan-based terror group claimed responsibility for the attack.
जिसके यहां आतंकवाद को पनाह दी जाती है, जो आज दिवालिया होने की कगार पर खड़ा है, वो आतंक का दूसरा नाम बन चुका है।
Prime Minister Imran Khan denied that the country was harboring and sponsoring militant proxies.
पाकिस्तान को इससे क्या फायदा है? क्यों पाकिस्तान इस स्टेज के ऊपर, जब पाकिस्तान स्टेबिलिटी की तरफ जा रहा है, हमारे पास हमने 15 साल की दहशतगर्दी की जंग, जिसमें 70,000 पाकिस्तानी मारे गए हैं, एक दहशतगर्दी नीचे जा रही है, अमन आ रहा है, स्टेबिलिटी आ रही है, हम क्यों कोई इस तरह का, इससे हमें फायदा क्या है?
When has Pakistan ever admitted that they have anything to do with any attack in India? When the group itself has admitted that it carried out the attack, it congratulated its people, it hailed the suicide bomber as a martyr, and then the Pakistanis say that they had nothing to do with that attack. I think it's an alternate reality then.
I think it's a fashion that all these terrorist organizations, they want to feel proud and big by claiming that they were involved in certain attacks. Before even an inquiry is ordered, Pakistan is blamed. And it is one group or the other terrorist group. Even we have a difficulty with such terrorist groups, and we have suffered.
मैं आपको वाज़े तौर पे कह रहा हूं कि ये नया पाकिस्तान है, ये नई माइंडसेट है, नई सोच है। मैं आज हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट को ऑफर कर रहा हूं, किसी किस्म की आप तहकीकात करवाना चाहते हैं इस इंसिडेंट में कि कोई पाकिस्तानी इसमें मुलव्वस था, हम तैयार हैं।
Both these organizations, Jaish-e-Mohammed as well as Lashkar-e-Taiba, have been banned in the past. Leaders have been arrested symbolically whenever there's international pressure, and within 2 or 3 months they're out back again. Why is it that there is no proper investigation? Why is there no proper prosecution? Why is there no proper conviction?
पुलवामा के गुनहगारों को सजा कैसे दी जाएगी, कहां दी जाएगी, कब दी जाएगी, कौन देगा, किस प्रकार की सजा देगा, ये सब ये हमारे जवान तय करेंगे।
Less than 2 weeks after the Pulwama attack, Indian warplanes launched surgical strikes crossing the de facto border into the disputed region of Kashmir and dropped bombs in the town of Balakot in Pakistan.
Indian nationalism is territorial. Pakistan's nationalism is not territorial, it is religious. They believe that because Jammu and Kashmir happens to be a Muslim majority province, it cannot be a part of India, it must be part of Pakistan. There is no meeting ground between India and Pakistan to discuss issues on Kashmir in a rational manner.
Kashmir is a festering wound which has not been finally stitched and closed. and it bleeds every now and then. Those incidents obviously are very dangerous for the whole region, because there are extremist and terribly powerful groups who are calling the shots. When I say that extremist and powerful, obviously in India I mean BJP, and in Pakistan it is a powerful establishment here.
India announced that it directed the strikes against a terrorist training camp, allegedly causing the deaths of a large number of terrorists.
India wants the world to know, and Pakistan in particular, that the rules have changed. Pakistan wants the world to know that they did not allow the Indian Air Force to come in, because their official story is that they scrambled their planes and the Indian planes dropped their payload or bombs in a rural area. So that's the narrative that both are trying to put out. Perhaps the most important thing about the Balakot incident, that what was struck perhaps is not as important as the fact that the strike was carried out.
There is the fog of war, but we are hoping that this is put behind us, because when relationships between nations progress, there will be Balakots on the way. But remember, ultimately, there is no way India and Pakistan can get into a situation where they have to fight an all-out war.
The following day, Pakistan retaliated, causing an Indian warplane to be shot down, and the military captured an Indian pilot.
मैं टारगेट ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहा था आपके एयरफोर्स ने
हिंदुस्तान का पायलट हमने पकड़ा हुआ है हम एज अ पीस जेस्चर हम उसको कल रिहा करने लगे हैं हिंदुस्तान को वापस
There certainly was pressure from other nations. It is important to know that Imran Khan at that point of time was very responsible with his comments. Throughout the crisis itself, he didn't opt to go down the route of firebrand statements, etc. He held back. He was measured, and in the pilot issue as well, in the return of the pilot issue as well, he made the right comments at the right times.
The dialogue is like between deaf and the dumb. Both India and Pakistan were talking about Kashmir from an equal pedestal as equally independent and democratic country, things would have been different. Indian Prime Minister has clear mandate, and Imran Khan has clear backing to hold dialogue and to have peace and to resume dialogue on Kashmir.
In a major disclosure, Imran Khan, during his recent meeting with US President Donald Trump, admitted that Pakistan still had 40,000 militants, and that his predecessors did not disclose the vast number of terrorists operating within Pakistan.
It's not that Pakistan is just exporting terrorism, that it has also suffered from the consequence of terrorism. So, but the big question is, it is not going to be easy for any country to undo this. In Delhi, the worry is that, look, they will do just enough to get off the hook, but they'll keep the instrument still directed against India. But if Imran Khan can convince Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he can control, or he and the army can together control terror, I think we might see a window open.
Young Pakistanis flock to Imran Khan. They form around 64% of Pakistan's population. It was clear more than a year ago on election day that youngsters wanted to give him a chance to become their leader.
Youth saw him winning the World Cup, they loved him. Youth saw him deliver the promise of developing and constructing a hospital, they knew that he can deliver it. So the moment Imran switched into politics, that is something that is what they aspire towards, that a guy who can promise and who can deliver.
These youngsters weren't bowled over by Imran Khan's charisma and star power, but they were inspired by the desire for change and the sense of frustration for previous corrupt regimes. Is Imran Khan Pakistan's only hope?
So
इस टाइम इमरान खान ही पाकिस्तान के लिए एक होप है, क्योंकि अगर हम पुरानी जितनी भी पार्टीज़ को उठा के देखें तो उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को एक तरह का खाया ही है। तो अभी पीटीआई जो आई है, इमरान खान जो नया पाकिस्तान का एक माइंडसेट लेके आया है, तो थोड़ा टाइम तो लगेगा स्टार्टिंग में, लेकिन इंशाल्लाह इन फ्यूचर हम पाकिस्तान में बहुत ज़्यादा बेहतरी देखेंगे।
अभी तो 1 साल हुआ है, तो ये बहुत जल्दी है कहना कि टर्म पूरी करेगा नहीं करेगा, लेकिन जिस तरह की उसको अपोजिशन मिली हुई है तो मेरे ख्याल से वो पूरी कर देगा, क्योंकि अपोजिशन अपने मसले में गिरी हुई है।
Many critics dismissed him for being politically naive. But 1 year on, Imran Khan's Pakistan seems to reflect a hopeful nation with shifting demographics. It reflects a move away from dynastic politics that many young Pakistanis believe has failed to deliver. But is Imran Khan fulfilling his promises to run a clean government and create an Islamic welfare state for all? Or, much like his predecessors, will he struggle to complete a term?
Imran Khan's 1 year in office has been a disaster for democracy, for freedom of press, and for economy I will give him some margin and wait for the outcome of the difficult decision he has taken. And I really don't think that even if we are able to earn some money or foreign exchange, we will have a democracy that countries like Pakistan really deserve at this point in time.
There is a dividend, a youth dividend that he could take advantage of. His charisma is a tremendous asset for him. But whether he can survive the whole term, that would entail an element of crystal ball gazing. But so far, so good.